Hello again, I am Blunty, and yesterday I put up a video about a game that's releasing later today. It's called the First Descendant. I was just covering some basics and calling attention to a game that might be of interest to a few of you out there, but seems to have been sliding under a lot of people's radars for whatever reason. I want to use that game today, though, as a chance to have a chat about pay to win, and if this game can even be called that. What does pay to win actually even mean in a real sense? These days, people get really caught up on the phrasing of pay to win, more than the overall concept, especially when they're trying to, for example, white knight defend a game that they really like from other people who are criticizing it and deriding it for how it is monetized. Some fans of the First Descendant have already started to fall into this little trap and fight these imaginary battles of concepts and definitions and what is pay to win, what isn't pay to win, this isn't pay to win, that's pay to win. Since yesterday's video, I've been poking around a bit, trying to get at least a feel for what final form, or the launch form at least, where it starts at, for the monetization in the First Descendant and what it can be expected to look like, to feel like. Some stuff is still unknown, of course, because it's not live yet in its launch form, specific pricing of items and the like, but because of the recent betas and whatnot, we do already have an idea about the kinds of things we will be having the opportunity to pay for using the premium currency, the one you buy with real world money. They include things like cosmetics, which fine for a free-to-play game. Cosmetics are fine by me. Oh, and you can bet, by the way, the bundles of this currency that you can buy are going to be in values that never ever quite add up to the pricing of the items in the storefront. You'll always have just not enough or just a little bit left over that you then can't spend on anything because it's not enough for anything. You've got just enough left over to go, well, if I don't spend that, I'm wasting money, so I'm going to have to buy another pack to put on top of that so I can then spend that stuff that I've already spent, and then the whole cycle rolls over again. It's sleazy, and if I were in charge, there'd be a law against it. But aside from cosmetics, there are other things, gameplay affecting things you can buy in this game, like apparently expanding your inventory, which in a looter shooter game with limited carry capacity is going to be a noticeable advantage you can pay for. You can also pay to directly and immediately unlock new characters instead of grinding to unlock them in the game, and then more grinding for the materials you need to craft them once you've unlocked access to them in the game. So that's a significant advantage to just paying to get the character immediately, as inevitably some characters will be more powerful or at least more useful for certain tasks in the game than others. Certain raids or certain kinds of material grinding are going to be more efficient with certain characters. But if you do grind to unlock a character, then grind to collect the materials, and then once you craft the character, well, there's a timer before you can use it. How long this timer will be seems to vary depending on the specific character at hand, but I've seen it suggested that it can take up to 36 hours, wait, or possibly more, from initiating the craft to actually being able to use the character you are crafting. Some characters, of course, it's going to be less. For other characters and future characters, it might be more. It might be significantly more. Would you wait a week for a character to craft? And bam, here we are. Time gating. Guess what comes next after time gating gets put in the game? Oh yes, then you can simply pay real money to skip the wait time, can't you? Isn't that convenient? Now, this kind of stuff, and know that I've not touched on all the systems that we already know about that tie into real money transactions for this particular game, but this kind of stuff, some people will argue, is not in fact pay to win. It's just not. You're not paying to win anything. Why? Well, because it's a PvE game, and there's no direct player-to-player competition, so there's no win condition. You can't beat another player that you're on the same team with just by opening your wallet, because you're all on the same side. It can't be pay to win, right? It's pay for convenience, not pay to win. Those are different things. Are they? Are they, though? Are they actually different things? Because I don't think they are. Because it's never once made sense to me, really, when you actually start thinking about it. Because a win condition isn't defined as beating another player. That's just one possible definition of winning. In fact, the word win itself doesn't even exclusively imply a competition of any kind. I'm sure that's the common use, of course it is, but what it does also commonly mean is to secure or acquire a favorable result in an endeavor. And an endeavor doesn't mean you're in competition with someone. You're just trying to reach a goal. And when you reach that goal, that's you winning. A win can be any time you succeed in achieving a goal you are striving for. And that's why people might say things like they're winning at life, as a sort of metaphorical thing. It's an expression of how well that person is achieving personal goals. Often something as inherently, objectively unmeasurable as happiness. They're winning at life because they're happy. They've succeeded in achieving their goals and stuff like that, Winning is sometimes purely subjective and got nothing to do with a competition. You don't even have to have a lose condition to achieve a win, really. But fact is, if your current goal in the game is to unlock, say, the ultimate version of Bunny, and obviously you want to do that, she's been designed to make that very desirable, not only aesthetically inviting compared to the standard version, but literally she's more powerful with more mod slots and exclusive mods. She's literally more powerful. The alt form is more powerful. So, to get the alt version of a character, there's going to be a much larger grind than the regular version, naturally, because it's the special version. You're going to work harder to get it. But in addition to more work farming materials, you're going to need more materials, probably rarer materials to craft you in the first place. You also need a rare drop that, as I currently understand it, only comes in the form of a drop from an RNG loot box. So that is quite potentially a lot of grinding, easily several days worth of constant grind, right? Potentially weeks worth, really, if you're not someone who plays all day, every day. And even then, you'll still have to wait before you can use that character. Even after you get all the materials, there's still a wait time to actually craft the thing, or research, I think they call it in the game. Or, how about this? Or you can just spend. And this is based on recent pre-release screenshots. You can spend 5,000 caliber being the name of the premium currency, and that one works out to apparently $100 US. The alts are, hopefully at the very least, the most extreme example of this kind of crap in the game, but the point is you can pay to achieve a win condition. Call it convenience if you like, but you're able to directly and instantly purchase power and advantage in the game. That's pay to win in my books. No question about it. But it doesn't really matter if you do or don't even agree with how tightly we must restrict the definition of a win condition to whether or not you call it pay to win or pay for convenience or whatever language you want to use to surround it. Because here's the real issue. Even if we split hairs and draw a line between pay to win and pay for convenience and pretend they're different things entirely, it still makes the game worse, because there's now a powerful incentive for the game developers to make paying for that convenience extremely attractive. And that means making people wait for 12 hours for even one of the earliest character unlocks to research before you can actually use them, even after you've done all the work of collecting all the materials you need to research them in the first place. And it is an incentive to make the grind to get to that point longer and more tedious, to make people want to be able to skip it, instead of making it actually fun, like a game should be, because games are entertainment products, or supposed to be. I don't mind grind in games. In fact, I sometimes quite enjoy it. I've spent entire days endlessly fighting the same monster over and over again in Monster Hunter, trying to get that 1% drop rate item to pop so I can craft some armor I really want. And I've loved it because the game is fun first. Beating the low drop rate, winning that rare drop feels like a reward for my efforts, not a punishment for not paying for it instead. Because the game hasn't been balanced around trying to get people to pay for it. It's been balanced around trying to get people to enjoy their time chasing it. I've seen other screenshots from the game, which I won't show on screen here because they're data mined stuff, not from recent public materials. But it can be as much as 3 real-world days just to be able to actually use a character that you've already unlocked. You've already spent the time gathering materials to craft, but now you have to sit behind a time gate for the sole purpose of delaying reward, withholding that gratification from you, from your efforts, from your work, from your grind, making it so annoying that at least some people will crack and decide to pay real money to avoid this deliberate, psychologically manipulative and capitalistically motivated unpleasantness, this sleaziness. They're making the game shittier unless you pay, to encourage more people to pay. In no world can you defend that or convince me that that kind of choice is a good choice for the players, any players, paid or free. It's making the game worse for everybody. It's sleazy. It is manipulative. There is no other answer to this question. I'm okay with paywalled cosmetics, particularly in free-to-play games. I'm even okay with paying for Battle Pass style systems that offer a range of materials and cosmetics and emotes and vanity crap like special titles or icons or hats or whatever it is. Hell, I don't even mind when they include, the in-game premium currency in the Battle Pass rewards. That's a reasonably decent thing for that sort of system, in my opinion. Because none of that has a strong or particularly effective motivation to make the game itself actively worse for people who don't spend much or just use the free version of the Battle Pass or whatever that system is and however it works. Oh, sure, there's potentially a bit of jealousy from other players, FOMO. Oh, I wish I had that, but you have to pay for that. That's from the Premium Battle Pass. But none of that makes the game worse to engage with, to actually play. None of that affects the gameplay. And the fact is, the First Descendant will be mechanically worse as a game than it could have been, that it should have been, if the devs had made different choices about how it was monetized. And mark my words, as soon as the player base settles and stabilizes, after the final launch surge and players start to suddenly drain away and move on to other games, it'll eventually sort of start to stabilize. At that point, the monetization will get worse. It will get more aggressive. When Fallout 76 launched, they promised that any MTX stuff would be cosmetic only. That promise didn't last. It didn't last even very long. Now, there's all kinds of pay-for-convenience crap in the store, and some of the game's mechanics were indeed slowly, gently altered to make those MTX stuff, that pay-for-convenience stuff, more attractive, more inviting, thus making the game worse because of that. But you see, by that point, the frog was already in the water and the water was already getting warm. And all of that is to say, not stay away from the First Descendant. Hardly. I'm still really hoping it's going to be terrific fun. I really do. But what I am saying is do go in with eyes open, because it is, in my opinion, at least, a little pay to win. And should the game survive, the pay to winningness of it will get worse over time. I promise you it will. It's not going to get better. It's not going to get less aggressive. It's going to get worse. And it's not unlikely as a consequence of that, the game itself mechanically is going to get worse for it too. But by then, the stable players will have been on the water for too long to resist much. The frog's pot has started to bubble, if not boil. Because that's the way these things work. So yes, if you ask me, is the First Descendant pay to win? Absolutely it is. And it's only going to get worse with time. So, yeah, just head in with your eyes open with that expectation. It's not going to stop the game necessarily being fun. You are going to be slightly annoyed by certain things, I'm sure. I'm sure I will be. Of all the different monetization schemes out there that have come from mobile gaming spaces in particular, time gating is the one that makes me the angriest. And I'm so angry, I will aggressively avoid spending money in a game that has that. I will avoid spending money I might have otherwise spent, because I do spend money in these types of games for cosmetics and stuff. I've bought some stuff in Monster Hunter even. Monster Hunter is a full price game. I've bought cosmetic stuff in there off the MTX store for a few dollars here and there. Some emotes and dances and costumes and stuff like that, because it's fun. And I've got thousands of hours in that game. Why not throw a little extra money towards it in appreciation and recognition of how much entertainment it's given me? That's fine. I can excuse that. I can justify that to myself. But if you put a time gate in your game, even if I want something cosmetic from your store, I'm going to think twice, 3 times, 4 times, and probably not spend anything at all just in protest of how you've chosen to monetize other parts of that game. That's how much it pisses me off when they do that. You draw your own line in the sand. Let me know down below where that is for you. But now I've said my piece. I'm going to get on with the rest of my day, I guess. Hope you enjoyed the rest of your day. Thank you as always to the agents scrolling away up above there. I am Blunty, and we'll catch you next time.